Imagine that you need to publish a paper. You've got 10 minutes to look it over before going live with it. How do you handle editing in that short of time? Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Todd Phillips. When you're under pressure for editing and you don't have enough time to go through and read every single word, you need to build the strategy to get the best bang for your buck. With technical writing, it's a little easier because there is structure that you can work within, things like a table of contents, layered headings, callouts for graphics that are being used in the text. With fiction, it's much more difficult, but we'll get to that toward the end. Imagine that you have a 3-page technical article that you need to publish to the web, and you only have about 10 minutes to go through and get a little bit of editing in. Even if this is your own work, here's some strategies to think about. First of all, pay attention to the structure. Look at the table of contents if there is one, particularly if it's hyperlinked to the headings in the content. Make sure that those links work. Click on every one of them, make sure it goes where they're supposed to. Correct any mistakes that you find. Look for spelling and any grammatical errors that may exist in the headings, both in the table of contents and in the content itself. Very frequently, the mistakes that will be noticed by the readers are right there in the headings or in the callouts of the graphics. Next, if you are using any screenshots or any graphics of any kind in your written content, look at the callout. Make sure that it's spelled correctly. Make sure there are no typos. If you're writing for accessible content, make sure that those extra accessible fields are correctly written so that the screen reader will pick it up. Next, go through and look at the individual paragraphs. Look for anything that might be highlighted by your word processing software. Don't trust it completely, but look at anything that's highlighted. Make sure that the word is the form that you expect. Make sure it makes sense within the context. Next, go through and read the content. If you have enough time left, read it out loud, as much of it as you can, looking for any errors that need to be corrected. Hopefully, you can get through enough of that within about 10 minutes to catch any of the obvious errors that might exist. The ones that are a little harder are the incorrect form of a word being used. The one that's my wife's pet peeve is there, and there, or to, and to. Make sure you're using the correct spelling of the word. When you're editing for fiction, it's a little more difficult. You don't have as much of structure to help you out. You don't have the headings, you don't have callouts on graphics usually. So you have to go through and actually read the content, and if it's a very long piece, you're not going to get through it in 10 minutes. Something that you can do to help yourself out ahead of time when writing fiction, if you're creating place names or character names that are not existing known names or common names, especially things for fantasy or science fiction. I run across these more often than for other genres. Make sure that you add the correct spelling and capitalization of the name to your local dictionary. Now, in most programs, you're going to be right-clicking on the word, and instead of autocorrect or taking a suggestion, you're going to look for an entry that says add to dictionary. Once you do that, it's going to be scanning for that same form of the name. You may have to look for other forms of the name, say a possessive form where you have an apostrophe S at the end. Any form of the name needs to be added separately to your local dictionary. Once you've done that, it'll highlight anything that deviates from what you've defined. That's especially helpful when you're under a time crunch and trying to review the content before publishing. Hopefully these ideas will help. If you find the content valuable, please don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to ring the bell for new videos when they're made available. If you found something useful, or if you have a question, something you'd like to have covered in a future video, please leave a comment. Bye.